Hi, I'm Lisa Furland with Lisa Furland Consulting and Crowdfunding for Authors. And today I'm talking with Alicia Kennedy, who successfully crowdfunded her book on Kickstarter for over $12,000. Her children's book, I'll Be Here, was successful with 150 backers. And she talks about how she managed time zone differences. She's based in Japan and her audience is based in the US, as well as how she handled social media when she really doesn't like posting on social media. She also gave great book recommendations for how she stayed grounded and motivated and kind of centered during her campaign. And she shares what worked and what didn't work. So I hope you enjoyed this interview. Be sure to follow along and like and subscribe, follow, do all the things so that you don't miss out on valuable tips like this. So, how are things post Kickstarter? I want to know how it went, what your experience was, and all of that.
It went really good. So I feel like we played it very close, but like it was a very consistent, right? Like it
Yeah.
was a very consistent campaign. We went maybe 1 or 2 days without any backers. That's it.
Okay.
And which is really good. Like my first campaign, we went like a week. Like we didn't have a dry spell. Like usually that week, you have like that week dry spell and there where it's really tough, but we didn't have that per se. I think one thing that helped was like the end of the second week, we started having like our influencers. So we did some paid, some not paid, but like the influencers started pushing it. And it really just helped us gain like traction, like more momentum, even with like my own followers, like
Mm-hmm.
um they saw somebody posted and they reposted and they shared and they got into it and it was consistent and that really helped us get over the hump, I think, faster. Um or I guess get over the hump. We didn't have to face the hump, I think, because we had those consistent, like, bam, bam, outside influences helping us.
Yeah, so you had like a mix of paid and unpaid. Did you do like affiliates or did you just say, hey, your fee for sharing or whatever?
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Just we were gonna do affiliates. I just don't think we had the capacity to pull it off like we wanted to for this Kickstarter.
Okay.
Um, we did give them the Kickstarter links to see, but that was so hard too because if they've never heard of me, I think what was happening is they were going through my Instagram, like, you'd like say this
Like
person and then go to that page,
reshare.
check it out, and
Yeah,
then go
yeah.
through my link. So I don't know. It was hard to track. Now that got really tricky tracking.
And would you say what was your most successful like source of backers? Was it like Instagram? Was it Facebook? Was it emailing people directly? What do you think worked the best?
Kickstarter, actually.
Really?
Um, which is I usually don't hear that, but like Kickstarter took credit for 40%. Now I will say there were like two or three that I knew did not come from Kickstarter. They just must have
Right.
had that link. But there were quite a few big, like my $500 tier. Two of those people were like serial
Strangers.
Kickstarter backers. Like,
Really?
people at bat like 30, 40 campaigns. So like they came from Kickstarter. Like I didn't know them. And they came from Kickstarter. They had like one of them back like 100. Like I never heard of these people in my life, no connection to anything, like you even try to cyber, like, okay, let's see who they are on Instagram. No clue who these people are.
No. Oh,
Two of my
wow.
biggest ones came from Kickstarter, which was really interesting.
Oh my
Uh,
goodness.
but outside of Kickstarter, it was Instagram
Okay.
by far. They were all on Instagram. So we did put
Okay.
the most money into Instagram because we definitely boosted posts. We actually got a reshare from the CEO of Kickstarter, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
And that might have been where you got like those
some
that sort of
traction.
extra
Well,
boost.
they I
Yeah.
got those before though.
Oh,
Actually,
okay. Okay.
the big ones before, but I know it definitely got us some traction because that was so it all just happened though. Like he shared right after an influencer did I think she did a reel, and so then he shared the next day, and so it was like a boom 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 type of thing. There was like something else that happened shortly after. Oh, and then somebody else did it for free, like a free one that I was telling you about. She has a big following, and I just sent her a book. I gifted her a book, and she ended up doing a reel for free. And
That's so nice.
so,
I mean, you just can't like predict these things. You
no,
just have
you
like
can't.
no idea. You can't predict. I wanted to just look at your daily here. Because yeah, like you said, you had just like it was steady. It was just like
It's
cruising, and
like,
there was no day that was like Like, no, you had backers every single day. You just had some that were like
Oh,
one
for
backer. So it was
one.
really good.
Okay.
And then you
Yeah.
had like this just came out of nowhere at two backers. And then you had a really strong ending as well.
Yeah.
So
So I
yeah,
actually had people like message me and say, let me know what you need to make your goal and I got you. Like when we were towards the end, like there were people hardcore backing. It felt really good.
that's
I'll say
really
that.
good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you just can't possibly predict and you finished way over your goal actually. I mean 107% is good considering you're, for a what, if we go back to the funding progress, you reached it sort of at the end. You had like 3 or 4 days left
Yeah.
basically once you reach. I'm sure, how were you feeling at that point? Like,
Oh, when
okay,
we
like I
actually
can
reached it.
relax.
Yeah. Because I feel like everybody's biggest thing is like, well, I have to give to my own Kickstarter not to lose 91 backers. Like, nobody
Yeah,
really wants to do that. But I know
right.
some people who have to do that. And you're just like, I can't well, at this point, I think I had like 100. Yeah, we were over 100 by this point. So I'm like, I can't lose 100 backers. Like, I don't care at this
No,
point.
no.
Like,
And that's the
yeah.
thing is that like you're not like you can when you have that many people. And so it's kind of why like 100 backers is such a good number to hit. Because once you hit 100 people, you could have half of those people or a third of those people share again and it will reach
Yeah.
another group of people. And so
Yeah.
it's kind of like once you have a big enough crowd, they not that they won't let you fail, but you have enough people who have financially invested in
Yeah.
your project. They're going to be like, okay, we'll nudge it up or I'll add an extra $10 to my plate. Like they can like there's more people to share the pledges to like get it up higher. It's kind of
I
like once
didn't
you hit that point, you're like, okay, we're good. We're good.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. There were a lot of people very vested. I had a lot of pledge changes towards the end too. So I did see way more adjustments this round than I
Okay.
did.
That's awesome. So what do you think worked well and what do you think just didn't work well? Just for whatever reason. Not that it wouldn't work well next time, but just that it just this time it just didn't work.
Yeah, Facebook, I just got nothing out of Facebook. And I actually my first time, Facebook was just as strong as Instagram, my very first.
Oh, interesting.
So they actually did great neck and neck, but my marketing just didn't translate to Facebook. It
Okay.
didn't. There's just no translation. And it is different. You do have to be very intentional. What people like on Instagram and Facebook are completely different. There were some things that translated well, but some things that didn't. I think one of the biggest things for this Kickstarter is that we didn't have to explain what Kickstarter was. A lot of people had supported us last time, so they already knew. Like we did explain it still, but we didn't have to focus so much of our campaign versus the last one. Nobody I knew used Kickstarter. Like they didn't know what it was. Literally took a poll before doing it. And like majority, maybe 20% knew what Kickstarter was.
Oh, wow.
When they say crowdfunding, they think of GoFundMe, which isn't what you want people to think of, just because GoFundMe has this like charity based
Donation.
to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to spend so much time explaining. I think that really helped. Like people were able to see, like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what that is. Like I
Right.
understand. Yeah. So I think that was really helpful. What didn't work? So we did a couple boosted posts on Instagram, and those were successful in getting us out there. We actually built, I mean, we got a couple extra 100 followers from those boosted posts.
Okay.
Um, and we had quite a few click-throughs to the website, but I don't think many translated to actual sales. So
Okay.
it was good for like building, um, like visually getting out there because the goal is, if we have influencers and then they see ads, like you want to keep popping up, right? Like the more you can pop up in
Right.
somebody's feeds, even organically, even with ads, like the more they're like, who is this? So I do feel hopeful. Like a lot of those people actually, not a lot, but we still like our engagement's better on my business. So like, I have a
Okay.
business, then I have my personal. So this
Yeah.
was personal, this was business page growth. And so a lot of those people are actually still looking in the stories and engagement's up. So I don't think
Good.
it hurt, but I don't think it was like really super worth it if you want to correlate it to sales.
Probably
Um,
not. But maybe,
yeah,
long-term
future
audience
sales.
building, future sales, anything like
Yeah,
that.
I do think Kickstarter, because like you're so conscious of getting your message out, and like you know exactly what you want to say and how you want to say it and who you are and what you're doing. So I do think like social media presence is the strongest during a Kickstarter campaign, at
Mhm.
least for us. And so that is a great time to build your audience for the next one or the
Yeah.
release of your book. Like there's
Yeah.
still that coming back and actually buying the book
You can
once
like
it's
recycle all of that and then direct
yeah,
people to your book order.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Um,
I would say, what was your largest reward? Like your most popular reward was your $28 hardcover and ebook.
it was, but I sold 4 out of 5. Or did I sell all 5? Well, technically I could have sold all 5 because I had a couple backers that didn't pledge or didn't do like a reward. But I sold
That's
four
right.
out of five
Your
of the
big
500.
500. Yeah.
Yeah, which that was actually meant a lot to me to sell 4 out of 5 of them. Because
Yeah.
usually people don't sell that. Like you always see that one available, but the bigger
Right.
one. So
Right.
four
Right.
out of five was really good.
Good. Okay. So Instagram was your biggest one. Getting in front of people multiple times was your biggest one. Was there any like surprises that you ran into during your campaign? Anything that you're like, oh, good or bad?
No, I think after the campaign, I didn't consider how long it would take for people to get the backer reports back.
Okay.
And so that impacts shipping because I can't get my books printed until I have those names on my end pages, which is going to further delay. So that was the only thing I'm like, shoot, I wish I would have thought that out a little further. It's okay though, because, that was my risk. And
Right.
so once we get all the names, we're going to just roll with it. I sent out another update this week. We're gonna roll with it after this week. We're just gonna send it out. Once I like get everything updated or sent out, then I will update and let people know it's gonna be a delay. But like I don't want to tell them a delay and guess a date until we just know.
Yeah. No, I think
So
yeah, especially when it comes to fulfillment and around the holidays and everything. If you aren't going to be able to ship and get things delivered in time for the holidays, I would like send with the update like a downloadable gift certificate that they
mm,
can, download and print and give, in lieu of the physical gift and say like
oh,
it's
that's
coming,
really
like
good.
it's on its
Right.
way.
I like that idea. I did. My date was though January, so my
That's
month
true.
was always it was always January. So I never wanted people to think that I was getting it. I'm like, with the holiday, no, absolutely not. Like it
It's
was not gonna
chaos.
happen.
Chaos.
Not gonna happen. But then the thing about January imprinting in China is that you gotta hope it hits January, not February, because if it hits February, you're in March. You're just not gonna make because they don't work in February. So
Not easy.
yeah. No,
Not
I
easy
know that it's
juggling.
gonna be. That's why I said I'm not even gonna tell anybody anything until I get like, okay, this is the date. This is what's going on. And being
Yeah.
honest that like back reports was something that wasn't factored
I
in this
need your
time.
names.
Yes, I just that's all, just the names. Like
Yeah.
that's it.
Well,
That's
I
it.
would say, yeah, definitely be sure to follow up with, because you have their emails, follow up, and it deals directly with the project. Follow up with them directly via email because even sending a backers only update through Kickstarter, they might not be seeing it.
Yeah, because they don't know.
Um, and I would be like, attention, like need it. And I
Right.
would give people a deadline and say, like,
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
you backed it, your name or your child's name gets to be in the book if you submit it by this date, like I need it. So give them a cutoff and then say, I can't keep holding it, it's not fair to everybody else. And
Right.
there was a campaign that I backed, and they said if you haven't filled in your shipping, you're gonna have to wait till next year when we do another round of shipping from China. Like you have to wait for the next print run. And they literally said, like, this is the 15th email we have sent you. You haven't checked it.
Oh,
And I was like, oh no, because it went to my like other email, it went to like the one I
right.
don't check that often. And I was like, no, that's totally fair. Like so it was It was kind of like, we've tried to contact you numerous times and you haven't updated your shipping. Like, you have until today to do it. So it's kind of like you have to be really, really clear. Like, okay, I have sent 8 emails on this topic. Like, we're moving on. This is your deadline. The deadline is today. Get it done, or
just do it right now. Just literally,
just do it right now. Do it as soon as you see it. Yeah, exactly. So that's
what I
the
do
hard
with
part.
Kickstarters, because I know I won't go back to it. Like, y'all are just nice.
No, like, it has to be like, I do it, boom, boom. Otherwise, I'm not thinking about it again. That's good.
And it's less than 5 minutes. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
once you've done one, you could just breeze through it.
Yeah. Just pledge.
Yeah.
Good. Any like, I guess, fantastical surprises, like things that, again, you had those 2 backers come from Kickstarter that pledged like way higher than the average. Any other like nice surprises or connections that came from all of the outreach that you were doing and all of the promo?
Pleasant surprises. I don't know. I think one of my biggest things, like, I've had a couple people ask me like Kickstarter being a good idea, or like if they should do it. And I think the biggest thing is just to like open your heart to the reality of what's going to happen, right? Like, you will be disappointed because there are people who you want to support you, who you have on your like they're going to support me list, that are just not going to support you. And it could be because they're busy, it could be because they're not paying attention, it could be because they just don't want the book. Like, whatever the reason, that's okay, because then there are going to be some people who you don't even have on your list who are going to support you above and beyond like what you. So the all of my $500 backers were not close ties to me. So like, you expect that to be like your mom, your dad, like, like your brothers and sisters, cousins, aunts, like the people super close who you think can afford it. None of them were close to me. Just opening your heart, like not holding against people. Everybody can't. Like, the economy is kind of crazy right now. Like, you just don't know what people are going through. But like, opening your heart, that people, you get a little disappointed. There'll be people you're like, dang, like I thought, you just $28, like, that simple. But they won't. But then, focus on the people who are super supportive, because there will be people who go way harder for you than you ever imagined. Like, we're really going to be supportive. So I think that was like a big thing, I guess, even through the first Kickstarter. But for me, I was nervous because I'm like, okay, a lot of people supported me the first time. I don't know if they're going to come, like, people are like, oh, you'll get them back. You'll get them back. I don't know. Like, I wasn't successful the first time. 2 different types of projects, like both publishing, very different though. I just wasn't sure I would get them, and I didn't get them all back. But again,
but
that's not the goal either, to get all of them back. It's just to reach new heights. So
I love that. I love it. Open your heart to what is possible. And it's such it's such an emotionally vulnerable thing to put your project out there and say, hey, I need funding for this, pre-order it here, and to get all of these pieces translated properly into getting people to take action is really a lot of effort and energy. And you can start to feel resentful if you're like, hey, I'm over here working my tail off and you're not taking action. What's going on? And so it's very good. I think focusing on the people who are showing up in big ways is the only thing you do, because we can't force anyone to want to buy our book, and you wouldn't want that anyway. Like you said, like that's not the point. The point is not to force people to buy your book and support your campaign, but to put it out there and keep presenting it in a way that makes people either want to get on board, or at least they know about it and can share it with someone who they think might want it.
Exactly. That was definitely my thing, was like, okay, I am going to send people a text message to let them know it's coming. Then I'll send them like, hey, we launched type of text message. And that was it. Like, I'm not going to keep redoing like, hey, do you remember? Just because you do. Like, like, like at some point in the 30 days, these are all the same people on my Instagram. Like, you see it every day. Like, I see you seeing it in my stories. So there's no point in me reaching out and asking you, do you see it? Like, it's just kind of like, no, you see it. This is not for you. That's cool, because I've had things like people are doing that's just not for me. Like, I don't want to buy jewelry, and like, that's okay. Like, I support you as a person. I just don't want to buy jewelry. Like, I can't keep up with it. I break it. It breaks me out. Or I'm good. So I feel like that type of scenario. Like, you still support me and not support me. Like,
or like even just resharing something on social media. Like,
I
think
got
even
that a
being
lot
grateful
on
for that.
I got that a lot on Facebook. I got a lot of reshares, from people who didn't necessarily back. But again, that may be the most they could have done. And so like in those instances, I'm grateful.
That's good. Did you do anything else to like keep yourself mentally grounded and like emotionally stable? Because it is such like a roller coaster of emotions.
I
So did you do
walk.
anything special?
Yeah, I started walking before though. So I like I started walking every day. That was my goal. I think I walked 100 miles during the
Wow.
Kickstarter campaign. That next month I walked like 150 miles. This month I go back. Like, so now I'm into walking. So like that's what I'm trying
Nice.
to stay disciplined and do. But it was really helpful to clear my mind. And then I started listening to audibles. And so I listened to all of these amazing books that were really motivating during like the campaign and stuff too.
Do you have any that you would recommend?
Like just in general or
Yeah, just in.
I absolutely, so the one I read during the campaign was, I read a lot of biographies. So I read Viola Davis's book.
Okay.
It was so good. And it was just her life story. But I'm always motivated by people like, she grew up really rough. Her, like, it was really sad to hear about her childhood. But like it was really great to hear like her perseverance and like determination. And then like, I grew up watching Viola Davis like in movies, and so I'm like, oh, like I did notice that there was a time where she just became, like
Yeah.
once she hit How to Get Away with Murder, she was Viola Davis. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
anymore like who is that? It was like, no, I remember her name. Like she's
Yeah.
arrived. But like hearing about all the things that got her there. And I also listened to Will Smith's book, which is really, really good. They're
Okay.
both great storytellers. And so for me, it was just great because they both like are very driven people. And so Matthew McConaughey's book too. Those are the three books
Oh,
that we
really?
both.
Okay.
Yeah. They were all really good. They were all like just their stories. I love hearing people, but that's just me. Like I get motivated by hearing other people's stories of like life and their journeys and what they learned. So they were really good. Yeah.
Okay, those are great. Three great recommendations. Audible while you're walking, and you're able just to stay motivated and keep your energy high, and also
Yeah.
clear your head and take a screen break. I think the screen breaks are so important
But
too.
one of
But
the things I think helped is that I'm in Japan and then I have a social media team in America. And so they were able to post some things when I wasn't. So it was never really like a downtime because I'm up at night basically in America. So I'm in my stories or, doing that. And then
right.
um actual posts posted during times I would be up but getting ready to
Okay.
go to sleep or something like that. So I think that was really helpful to constantly not have to be the one on there, but have something going on
But there
social
was a
media
presence all the
at all
time.
times. Yes, at
Interesting.
all times. I
So
think that's pretty
I'm
helpful.
hearing a recommendation of like even if you don't have a social media team, you could schedule posts to post when you're asleep or something, and then
Well,
when you're
I think it
awake and
just works for
active.
me because see, I don't know. I think because I'm in a different time zone, it was helpful because like people know I live abroad. And
Mhm.
so I have people like I have friends in Australia, Europe, Japan who would reshare and like comment and keep stuff alive at night. So I guess
Okay.
if you're in America and you don't have anyone anywhere else, I don't know that it would be
It doesn't
as
matter.
beneficial if you don't have an international market to like tap into. And even then I didn't necessarily get a lot of translates. I just think it helped like keeping, it's all about engagement. So keeping the engagement up at night and in the morning was really I think helped in the long run for us.
Okay. That's good. That's a great recommendation.
Yeah. But yeah, if you don't have anyone in a global market, I don't know if it'll be beneficial. But you'd be surprised how many people are night owls. So I'm like, aren't y'all like supposed to be asleep?
People are just scrolling endlessly.
People scroll all night long. I'm like, y'all should be asleep. And they're like over here, like in my story. I got the most story like views at like 10 p.m. between 10 p.m. and midnight. Like those are like and they still are some of my peaks. Like
Okay.
y'all ain't tired. I'm tired. Like,
No.
yeah.
And so you mean like 10 p.m. like their time
Yeah, in
or 10 p.m.
America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. People
I used
scrolling
to
before bed because we're addicted. We're addicted to our phones. It's a problem. It's a problem.
I try to keep my phone downstairs when I go to sleep, so like away from me
Okay.
because it is a
Otherwise, you'd just
problem.
be on the Kickstarter app the whole time, just checking
No,
who's
for
next.
real. Like, so yeah, I would definitely sleep away from the Kickstarter app. Like, that is the biggest thing. You have to let it go. Like, it is gonna do what it's gonna do.
Yep.
And all you do is the best you can and hope that by some grace that you can get on the front page of Kickstarter. I cannot imagine how helpful the first page of Kickstarter is, like, to get your, I have not yet to get there, but
Yep, there have been a few authors who have magically landed on the front page, and they only for like an hour. Like it's hot real estate. Like you're probably only there for an hour, maybe a few hours if you're lucky. And one author, she was there for like 6 hours, I think, and it wasn't during peak or prime time, but she got like an extra $2,000. Just
because
because
there's
again, it's just a flood of traffic, so it's a ton of people landing on the site, and then especially if you're directing your people and saying going to Kickstarter.com, and the first thing they see is your product, and they just don't think anything of it, and they just click. Whereas everyone else is like, "Huh, oh, let me check that out. Yeah, I'll check that out."
yeah, this is an interesting title. This looks cool. I'm
Yeah,
interested.
yeah. My Kickstarter is so skewed, so I always have everyone's recommended for you, so it's always there on the site. So
Right.
I see everyone anyway. But yeah, it's great to have that big sort of hero banner right on the front page.
So amazing. Like, I can't imagine. Like, just let me live there for a little bit with one of my
So do you
get
think
me there.
will you do another Kickstarter? I know you have a lot of books
Yeah, I
coming.
will.
Okay.
I don't, it's very hard because I don't feel like I've gotten great at selling books. And so when you have a Kickstarter where you can sell what you need to sell ahead of time, it's really hard to say, oh, I'm going to go work 5 times as hard. Well, don't get me wrong, those 30 days are hard work. But to sell, so I think we like tallied what it would have been if everyone got rewards because we still offered rewards to the people who did the no
Chose no
reward.
reward. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think it was like 310 books or something like that. Like to sell that and off of Kickstarter is really hard. My very first book, I think I was in the 200s. So that was my first one. My second one was not. So I just think it's so hard to like get what you need to keep going. You make your money back and it's easier. I'm definitely very vocal. The hardest part, the easiest part is writing the book, right? Like
Mhm.
that is the thing. The hardest part is marketing, especially when you don't like social media. Like I
Yeah.
don't really want to be here, but I have to be here. So here we are. So I did try to like get in my stories and talk about the financial hardship. I didn't post a lot about it. And we didn't even post this one. It's really weird. I have no idea why this happened because we usually have posts set up for it, but we didn't even post on our page like halfway there or any of those things.
Okay.
Like
No milestone posts.
no milestones except at the end we made it. And that's really surprising because usually, not usually, but the last one we had everything pre-planned for each milestone. And I
It's
did it
okay.
in
You
my
didn't need it.
stories, but we
You didn't
didn't
need
do it
it.
on
It's
the post. Yeah, we
okay.
didn't do it on the post. But no, I didn't really talk. I talked about like the difficulties, not even the difficulties, the process, right? Like you see a book, but the reality is you have to write the book, get the book edited, get illustrations, get formatting, and then more edits. And then you still have to find a printer to print. Like towards the end, I was like, oh yeah, I've had, technically more books sold than in this 30 days than I did like my whole first book or something like that. Well, not my whole first book, but majority of it. And so I know I've talked about the difficulties of just
Publishing.
marketing,
Yeah.
like because we talk about publishing, like self-publishing, indie being an indie author versus being, published by a major publishing house, like the differences.
Hmm.
So the biggest difference is marketing
You
and
have to
money,
wear,
right?
and you have to wear all the hats, and you have to manage it all. And yeah, yeah,
But
that's
you get your
crazy.
creative freedom. So I know I talked about it because that was part of the thing where I said, um, diverse books, right? And then how intentional I was about making sure my characters were diverse, and then even making sure that my illustrator was someone that I've never even worked with before, right? Like it's like
Right,
making sure everybody doesn't have to look like me or you, like making sure
right.
that I can represent more people than I have, or most of us even have access to majority of the time. And so um I know that that's one of the things I talked about self-publishing. Like that's the beauty in self-publishing. You can really like follow your storyline.
Hmm.
So
Awesome. And I know that this book, once it's published and out there, is going to do really well in all, because it is so representative and it is so inclusive. I think it's going to just do really well. So what are your big plans after, once all the rewards are fulfilled? What are your big plans? Are you going to drive people to your website? Are you going to, what are your big
Yes,
plans?
we're actually driving people that way now. Yes, the website. I would like to do a couple of like vendor events and things, but I'm in Japan, so we'll see what I can do this
I know.
summer. I'm only home 8 weekends. Like, it's so
Yeah.
hard
Yeah.
to plan a life for like 8 weekends. I don't know what can I
No.
have time to do. But my goal is to do at least like 2 vendor events, like legit ones in the summer. And I don't know. I haven't even gotten there because I'm just trying to get the book to print. Like, I really am ready for this book to hit a printer. Because then I can focus on, okay, a release date. Like, I don't know when it's gonna be released because it's not printed yet. So
Yeah. And you'll have like a fulfillment and distribution center in the US handle
yeah,
all the fulfillment side.
yeah.
Is there anything else you want to share specifically about this campaign?
I do think you were incredibly helpful though
Oh,
in helping me think of things that I wouldn't have thought of on my own, and then just introducing me to smaller things, even the things I didn't use. Like, I didn't use affiliate links, but
mhm.
the fact that you introduced me to them is helpful for like future times, and the checklists were helpful. So many factors.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I would just want to say, it was a pleasure working with you, and I'm so glad that you had such a successful outcome, and that, a successful project is not just one that like reaches its goal, but one where you feel good during the campaign as well. Like that's just as important.
For sure. Well, I really appreciate you. Thank you for your help.
Oh, you're very welcome. It was a pleasure. And yes, please let's keep in touch. I
Of
definitely
course.
want to, follow your progress and yeah, support you as best I can when it comes to the book launch and making sure we drive more traffic to the book. So if people couldn't participate in the campaign, they can still
Yeah.
get it. Or maybe, they can buy some of the digital rewards and things like that on the
Yeah.
side.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a possibility.
Lots of ways to do it, but this is like I'll Be Here is such a perfect book for so many uh baby showers, and then also like graduation gifts. Like I can see this book on the shelves of Target and Walmart, and really, I mean really, because it is such like a sweet keepsake book where you have like these memories and these depictions of these real important milestones in a child's like young childhood to young adulthood.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
it's
Thank
just the
you.
beginning. This is really just the beginning, and the future is bright. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see where it goes.
Thank you.
Yay! All right, Alicia, thank you so much. I'm
Have a
going
nice
to
night.
thanks you too. I'm going